Hello and welcome. I'm in the same library, the Upper Dublin Library in Fort Washington, and I'm in a different room. The other room wasn't available. So I'm going to make the best of it. Today I'm going to be looking at examining health from a financial point of view. Is money necessary or integral for and critical component of health, especially optimal health? My first reaction is to say no, especially the way I grew up as a child. However, now I have a different opinion, quite different. Of course, if you're sickly, whether as a child or an adult, money becomes very important in the sense that can you get care, and care costs money. I think in no matter where you are in the world. Okay. But from my background, I grew up in a working class, fairly poor area of upstate Pennsylvania, coal mines. Both come from immigrants background. Both my grandfathers were coal miners. There were no books in my house. And I went to school though. At a grade school I went to, there was no crime in my family or in my neighborhood. And there's very little violence too. But I was poor. I came from unskilled people, and that's why they came to the United States to look for jobs. Terrible jobs, coal mining. But what does that have to do with money and health? Because there was no books in my house, that the influence that had on me. All right, and I went to a private school, a Sicilian grade school, for 8-9 years, from kindergarten up to finish 8th grade. And it was Sicilian, the teachers were from Sicily, and it was a Christian, Roman Catholic school. And it was to, maybe to protect, I'm not sure, but the idea was to protect the heritage of Sicilian heritage, and to protect them from Italians who looked down on Sicilians as criminals, unskilled, uneducated people. And in some ways, they're right. They're right. They are unskilled and perhaps uneducated. Not all of them, but And I don't know how much I learned in grade school, and then let alone high school. I mean, high school I did better because I didn't make honor roll. But I had no idea when it comes. Let's talk about money or so. I had no idea of what career meant or anything like that, other than knowing laborers, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, bricklayers, unskilled labor. That's what the people I was exposed to all the time. So my idea of having a career or a job obviously was some way centered in those areas. But my father did not talk to me. He only talked to me to give commands and orders. So I didn't have much of a sense. In high school, I was told that I should major in accounting, and I was real good at math, but it had nothing to do with money. My encounters with money was I worked as a paper boy, and then I used to sell bottles to get 2 cents so I could buy cigarettes with. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I was highly influenced at that time by the religion in the sense of ideas. Not necessarily, I wasn't religious in that sense, but the ideas of why are you born, philosophy, metaphysics, and things like that. Because I even went to a Catholic University of Scranton, where Joe Biden came from, and supposedly came from, and was born up in that area. And Joe Biden and I are basically the same age. So I had no idea of what money was and how to get it, and what a career meant or anything like that. And I floundered. I floundered for years and years and years. I went into the service. I was drafted, by the way. I didn't want to, and didn't know what I was doing. I got lucky, all right, but still I had no idea of career. And I knew I couldn't make a career out of what I learned in the service. I was in military intelligence at the end of my work out there. But what can I do with it? I went to the FBI for a job but it was mostly lawyers, and it was pretty boring. I had no interest. I went to the CIA. They offered me a job in computing at the time, mainframe computing, and I saw the room. There were no windows, and I was not interested at all. And I wasn't against the CIA. I liked the idea that you could have ideas of it fit my character personality. The idea of the CIA at that time. We're talking about the '60s, early '60s, and then that didn't work out. I left, and I took a job. Computers, by the way, tracking submarines, mostly math at the time, and I didn't feel comfortable with the math. I didn't understand it. I was told, "Oh, just don't worry about it. We don't understand it either," and I quit after around a month or 2 months. And that was the last professional job I sort of had at that time. And then I floundered for years and years and years. All right, and lived very poor. And because I didn't have much money coming in, I had very few choices. So when I did have opportunities, I based them on the idea of just staying alive, a steady income, some type of protection. That's why I went to the college, and that's why I came back to Philadelphia, again, because of money, the idea that they had a union, and the union had protection. At that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do, because I didn't think I was that interested in teaching, and even college. However, because I wanted to write books at that time. By that time, I was, I think, in my 30s, just about 30 years old or so. But still, again, I was making a living staying alive, but making very little money. And sometimes I worked 2 or 3 different schools working part-time. Again, it was to keep my addiction at the time. My addiction was writing books, writing plays, writing screenplays, and mostly writing novels. And living basically from week to week, or maybe a month or two in advance. That's how I existed. And then finally I started to make more money working at one college in particular, and I had some type of, no guarantee, but it was still part-time, but I had a lot more money coming in, and I felt a little bit more comfortable. Until recently, where now I lost one of the jobs. I had two jobs, and I lost one of them, and my income drastically dropped. And I could see how that influences me. Wow, my life has changed because my choices now are so limited. And now I have an opportunity to explore cryptocurrency for trading, and I know it's very risky, but I'm almost willing to take that risk because I feel desperate, because I don't have a source of income, even though I am now highly educated and have tremendous amount of experience teaching at the college level. So yes, money now. However, I'm healthy in spite of not having a lot of money. I was able to make some good choices or change bad habits that I had from, eating very unhealthy food, tremendous amount of sugar and sodas, smoking cigarettes, and not exercising, especially for writing. So I'm sitting down 4 or 5, sometimes 12 hours a day when I was writing my first couple of books. But I was lucky. A lot of it had to do with luck, but it also had to do with me making choices and making changes in my life. I did make changes. And now I'm 82, I'll be 82 in a couple of weeks, and I'm still worried about money. That's on my mind most of the time. And I wanted to, hopefully this cryptocurrency will work out, that I could have some freedom to do other things like making podcasts and thinking about them, rather than, can I make a trade and is it fraudulent? Do I have to worry about losing all my money and things like that? So yes, money is very important, but it's not the critical thing, because even though I've lived a fairly poor life, I'm pretty healthy. 82 years old for a male. And so it's a balance, and you have to put it in perspective. hopefully this was educational and enjoyment for you. Ciao.